Hey guys, Jimmy from the Game Grader, going to do another video review here. This time we have the Phillips Fidelio 8500 iPod dock, and this is about $170, $180, depending on where you find it online. Phillips didn't have the price listed themselves. They have to go off of stuff like Amazon, things like that. So it's in that area, it's in that range, under 200 is safe to say. Anyway, here's the dock. Let's go over some of the physical things here. I'll move the dock before I move the camera. There's your docking pin right there, and this little rubber knob here protects the speaker part. The speakers are back here, as you can see. They're right there, one on each side. Good looking dock, I would say. It's a little heavy for what it looks like. It's very thick in the back, and they claim this curved design will help sound. And obviously here's your speaker outputs, speaker ports, I guess. And they claim that this design helps sound. I don't have the science behind it, but I would say that based on the sound that we've enjoyed from this dock, something good is going on here. Anyway, there's some of the physical things. Obviously, I forgot to show you this part. There's an aux in. A lot of things do have an aux in, so if you don't have an iPod but still want to use the dock, or have an iPod and something else that you want to use, you can switch between the two, but there's your aux in right there. There's your power. Your brick is back there. You can see that right there. Just traditional stuff that we've seen before. And the only physical buttons on this thing are the volume, and that is it. And so there's the system itself. All right, let's go ahead and turn the dock on, or plug the iPod in. The good thing about this, it charges, obviously. That's the power brick, and that's just, traditional iPod dock. It will charge it as well. Anyway, the charge is very good, very quick, and that's something you want from a dock. It doesn't just sustain the power that you need to use it. It also will charge it at a pretty good rate. Anyway, so when you fire this thing up, let's zoom in here a little bit so you can see that Fidelio Phillips app. Well, you got to use that. You have to download it to use the iPod on the dock. Not a big fan of being forced to download things. This is a free app. It's a small download, not a big deal. But it doesn't really do much for you. It basically is a media player just like you already have, except you get a clock. Okay. Well, I don't understand necessarily why it was needed, but you have it. This is an alarm clock, not just a clock. It also will serve and give the dock alarm clock function, which is cool. That's the only redeeming thing to downloading this extra app. Anyway, and that allows you to use this device, this iPod, with this dock, and that's where one of the better remotes that we've seen comes into play. This is the Fidelio Remote right here. Small, slick, buttons are very comprehensive and easy to understand what they are. Volume, obviously. This is your play, pause, menu, your navigational buttons. And then these two up here, if you say you have both the aux in and the iPod plugged in, you can switch between aux in and iPod right there. And there's your kill switch, your mute. So this is all, turn this on here. A little Kanye playing in the background. Anyway, so this is all just, it all makes sense. The iPod, the remote makes sense. It takes some getting used to, obviously, because anytime you have to go through menus and things like that, to figure out how to find music, that's where things could get difficult. And but everything makes sense. I mean, obviously these arrows are how you navigate through tracks and things like that. Your volume is down here, but it all makes sense. And then when you get into menus, if I can get it into menus, that's where I have a lot of issues, is getting into menus. Sometimes you do have to go back and use the touch screen, everything that's on the touch screen, rather than using the remote. So, but the remote's pretty good from distance. It gets to a point where it won't work. It's only good about mid-range. The distance isn't really that good in terms of range of being able to use it. This is more of a desk, an indoor thing, not an outdoor thing where you're having a party and it's across the yard. This is meant for indoors. Sound is great. I think the sound is excellent. It's hard to really show you how great the sound is, but I think for the package, I think for the price, this is kind of a mid-range from what we've used before. Obviously the amp tune was a little bit cheaper than this, about $80 to $100. cheaper, and the Microlab dock that we used earlier was a little more expensive than this. So this is a mid-range from what we've been using. And I think the sound is comparable. It's a single solo unit. There's no two speakers. And there's really nothing special about it. It doesn't really do anything more than just play your music and charge it. There's no, turning it sideways like the amp tune, but I think that it does what it's supposed to do really well. The volume controls here are the only physical buttons on here. Everything works extremely well. The sound is what's the star here. Some people could say it's a little pricey, and I could see that. $180 for something like this. It's just basically a standalone iPod dock that really doesn't do much else, and something that forces you to download the app. Some people will be turned off by this. It's not very travel friendly because it's heavy and bulky, but I've heard some people say online and read that some people like to take it on trips. I don't know, that I would be a little more focused on taking an extra pair of clothes than I would taking something this big and bulky. So anyway, it comes with your aux jacks, your 1/8 inch headphone jacks, so you can go into, basically you can go into the iPod if you choose, you can go into a cell phone, you can go into a radio, and turn this into a speaker dock for multiple devices. The remote's good. It takes basically one of these batteries, pretty big battery, and you can find these at the store. But we haven't had any trouble with battery power or anything like that. We've been using it for a pretty good amount of time. Anyway, I really recommend this. There's your user guides as well. If you're interested in reading it in 3 different languages, they're all there. I think this is a good little dock. I think this is good for a desk. I think this is good for a living room. I don't think this is a very good travel unit, but I think the sound is exceptional. This mesh feel, the mesh look, and the sound, the curve that the curve here, and the way it produces sound, it replicates sound, and how the back is made. I think that all adds into it. I don't know the scientific parts behind it, but I think it all adds into the experience. And I think that the app is what the app is. You have to download it, you have to get it, and that just kind of helps the functionality of the unit and the functionality of the remote. And I like the ability to switch between aux and iPod without having to get up. That's cool. And so say you got the radio playing on it and you switch to iPod, you can switch back without having to even get up. I think these are all cool things, and I think the functionality of this remote really solidifies how good of a unit is. All right, let's get to the grade. I think for this unit, I think there's a lot of positives to it. The look is excellent. It's a little heavy, but it's an iPod dock. You're not going to be taking it with you. It's not a Walkman. Charge is great. The sound is great. Could use a couple more physical buttons, maybe some sort of menu that you can pull up within the app for equalizer settings to go along with the iPod. That'd be nice. The remote's good. The range is not very good, but you're going to use this inside anyway. Some people complain about that power brick being ugly. It's a power brick. What do you want from it? They throw this in there for posterity's sake. You can use it with other devices, and I think that's a good little toss in there. It looks good. It also does this cool thing where if you get close to it, the buttons will light up so you can see them. And I think that's a nice little feature. It's not really necessarily make or break type of thing for us, but I think it's great. I wanted to tack off for the price. It's about $180. That's a little bit expensive, but and some people have been taken off for how heavy it is, but I don't think that's legitimate. I think this is an A- iPod dock. I really think this is a good iPod dock, a little pricey for what it is. The sound is good. This curvature right here produces great sound. The back, they talked about, I don't know the science behind it, but I know it produces great sound. This thing can get loud, and that's great. This is an A-, and we really loved it. This is the Phillips Fidelio 8500 iPod dock. Check it out online at phillips.com. That's going to do it for us here at the Game Grader. It's the Phillips Fidelio 8500. Make sure you grab it, check it out. Great iPod dock, and thanks for watching the Game and Gadget Grader.